We're alone now? Time to tell the truth, the billionaire whispered to his maid. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's return to tonight's story and meet our main character. The rain had just stopped over the Hudson Valley estate, leaving the marble floors glistening like mirrors under the dim chandeliers. The other maids had gone to bed, their laughter fading down the long hallway. Maya stayed behind to finish polishing the grand staircase, her hands raw from soap and her reflection flickering in the gold rail. Every night ended this way, alone, exhausted, and invisible. She tightened her apron, humming softly, the tune her mother used to sing back home before illness took her voice. Behind her, a door creaked open. She froze. From the shadows of the study, a man stepped out, tall, in a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows. She recognized him as one of the contractors, the quiet one who sometimes helped the staff fix things. She quickly looked down, embarrassed. "I'm sorry, sir. I'll be out of your way in a minute." His voice came low, steady, but different tonight. "Maya," he said. She turned slowly, startled that he knew her name. "We're alone now? Time to tell the truth." The words hung heavy in the air. Her heart pounded so loud it drowned the ticking of the clock. What truth? She gripped the cloth in her hand, the small embroidered one she'd had since she was a girl. He took a step closer, eyes unreadable in the soft light. "About what?" she stammered. He didn't answer, only studied her face with the calm of someone who'd been watching far longer than she realized. The silence between them was alive, stretching like a held breath. Maya thought of the missing necklace, the whispering staff, the way the house had turned cold toward her these past days. She swallowed hard. "If this is about the jewelry, I swear I didn't." He raised a hand, stopping her. "I know," he said quietly. "I've known for a while." Confusion flickered across her face, then fear. "Then why didn't you tell them?" A faint smile tugged at his lips, one that didn't reach his eyes. "Because I needed to see who you really were when no one was watching." Outside, thunder rumbled in the distance. Inside, Maya's breath trembled. She didn't yet know the man standing before her wasn't a contractor or a guest. She didn't know that the house, the wealth, even the silence, all belonged to him. But soon she would. Tonight was the beginning of the truth, and the end of every lie she'd been forced to live beneath. For a moment, Maya could not breathe. The sound of the clock on the wall filled the silence, every tick louder than her heartbeat. "You have been watching me," she whispered, her voice breaking between disbelief and fear. The man did not move closer, he simply nodded. "Since the first week you arrived," he said, "you were kind to everyone, even when they were not kind to you. I needed to know if that kindness was real." Maya's eyes darted toward the floor, her hands trembling. "That necklace, they said I stole it. Everyone believed them. And you just stood there." He exhaled, his tone soft but heavy. "I know. That is why I am here now." He reached into his pocket and placed something on the marble table between them. It was the missing necklace, glittering under the light. "I found this in the East Corridor. Someone planted it in your cart, but not by accident. They wanted you gone." Maya stared at the necklace, her chest tightening. "So you knew, and you let them humiliate me anyway?" He did not defend himself. Instead, his eyes darkened with regret. "I needed to see who would stand for what is right. I needed to see you." The words sounded strange, almost too honest for a man she barely knew. But deep down, a part of her wanted to believe him. "Who are you really?" she asked. The faintest smile touched his lips. "My name is Adrian Vale." The name hit her like a wave. Everyone in the city knew that name. The billionaire investor, the face on every magazine cover. The man she had served coffee to every morning was the owner of this entire estate. Maya took a step back, her pulse racing. You are him." He nodded once. "Yes. And you are the only person in this house who treated me like a human being." The weight of his confession hung in the air. She wanted to speak, to yell, to cry, but all she could manage was a whisper. "Why me?" Adrian looked around the quiet hall, as if the shadows might be listening. "Because the world I live in is filled with masks. People smile, they flatter, they pretend to care. You never did. You just worked. You told the truth, even when it cost you. That is the kind of person I trust. Maya shook her head. Trust? You had me tested like some kind of experiment. Adrian's voice lowered. It was wrong. I admit it. But it taught me something about integrity that all my money never could. He reached out, hesitating before his hand could touch hers. I came tonight to make it right. Maya stepped back, still guarded. You cannot just erase what happened. I do not want to erase it, he said. I want to change what comes next. He took a folded envelope from his coat and placed it beside the necklace. Inside is a letter of reference for any position you choose, and a check. Not charity, restitution. Maya looked at the envelope but did not touch it. You think money fixes everything? She asked quietly. No, Adrian said. Money never fixes what pride breaks. But maybe honesty does. For a long time they stood in silence, the only sound the rain beginning again outside. She finally said, I need time. He nodded, his expression unreadable. Take all the time you need. But remember, the truth is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to free you. As he turned and walked down the corridor, Maya remained frozen in place. The necklace sparkled in the lamplight, the small embroidered cloth still in her hands. Somewhere deep inside, her anger began to tangle with something else, something she could not name yet. But she knew this night would not be the last between them. The next morning, sunlight filtered weakly through the narrow window of Maya's small room in the basement. She sat on the edge of her bed, the same bed that creaked with every breath she took. The envelope and the necklace lay untouched on the nightstand, glowing faintly. In the pale light, she had not slept at all. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, the calm, steady way he had said, the truth is meant to free you. Free her from what, exactly? From poverty? From fear? From pride? She pressed her palms together and took a slow breath. She had to decide whether to stay or to walk away. Outside, the estate buzzed with whispers. By mid-morning, every maid, driver, and gardener had heard that the contractor was actually Adrian Vale, the billionaire owner himself. Some cursed their bad luck. Others pretended they had known it all along. But everyone wondered what would happen to Maya. When she walked into the kitchen, the room fell silent. The head housekeeper, who once mocked her accent, now kept her eyes down. Maya ignored the stares and went straight to her duties. Work was the only thing that kept her from drowning in thoughts. Around noon, the chief of security appeared at the back door with a message. Mr. Vale asked me to bring you this, he said, handing her a small box wrapped in plain brown paper. Inside was her mother's medical report, neatly folded, and a note written in Adrian's handwriting. Already covered. Rest easy. Maya's fingers trembled as she read it. He had paid for her mother's treatment without telling her. Gratitude burned in her chest, but pride fought back just as fiercely. She whispered to herself, he is trying to fix things with money again. That evening, when her shift ended, she walked out through the garden where the air smelled of wet roses. At the far end of the marble path, she saw him. Adrian stood by the fountain, jacket off, sleeves rolled, phone pressed to his ear. Even in silence, he looked like someone carrying the weight of 10 lives. He noticed her, ended the call, and gave a faint nod. You came, he said. Only because I need to understand why. Then ask, he said simply. Why did you hire me under a lie? Why not just tell me who you were? Adrian exhaled. Because when people know my name, they stop being themselves. I needed to see what honesty looks like without the stage lights. I was wrong to drag you into it. His honesty disarmed her more than any apology could. You think that makes it better? She asked. No, he said, but maybe it makes it real. They stood there as the sun sank behind the trees, painting the sky in gold and gray. The air between them was heavy with everything unspoken. He reached into his pocket and handed her a folded sheet. This is not a contract, he said. It is an offer. Come work for the Vale Foundation. Help me fix what men like me have broken. Maya unfolded the paper. It was a proposal for a new department, employee welfare and ethical standards, her name written at the top as director. She stared at it, unsure whether to laugh or cry. You think I can do this? She said. Adrian's eyes softened. I know you can. You already did it here, without the title. Her throat tightened. I do not belong in your world. Neither do I, he said quietly. Not the way it is now. The fountain gurgled between them, echoing like distant rain. Maya looked at the offer again, then back at him. I will think about it, she said finally. Adrian nodded, his voice barely above a whisper. That is all I ask. As she walked away, the sky dimmed into dusk. For the first time, she realized the truth he spoke of might not be about what she had done wrong, but about what she was meant to become. The following week, the mansion seemed different. The air was quieter, less cruel. The whispers had faded, replaced by cautious respect. Maya walked through the marble halls with her head held higher than before, but inside, confusion still tangled around her heart. She had accepted the position at the Vale Foundation after 3 nights of sleepless thinking. Her mother's treatment had begun, paid in full, but Maya insisted she would repay every cent. Adrian only replied, "Then repay me by doing what you do best. Help people who have no voice." That sentence echoed in her mind now as she stood inside the Foundation's main office for the first time. The building overlooked the river, sunlight bouncing off the glass walls. A new world entirely. A place where her name was on the door. Director of Employee Welfare. The sign read in clean black letters. It did not feel real. Yet, as she ran her hand across the wood grain of her desk, a surge of quiet determination replaced her fear. She had lived enough humiliation to know exactly what needed changing. By noon, she was already reviewing files, cases of unpaid overtime, unsafe housing for staff, ignored complaints. She did not notice Adrian standing at the doorway until he cleared his throat gently. "First day, and already saving the world?" he said with a faint smile. Maya looked up, half flustered, half amused. "Someone has to." He stepped closer, resting one hand on the edge of her desk. "I read your policy draft. It is bold. It might upset people. Then it means it is right," she answered, surprising even herself with the firmness of her tone. Adrian's gaze lingered on her for a moment, pride flickering beneath the calm. "You are different when you are not afraid," he said quietly. "I like that." His words made her heartbeat stumble, but she forced herself to focus. "Do not flatter me, Mr. Vale. We have too much work to do." He chuckled, raising both hands in surrender. "Yes, Director." Days passed quickly after that. Maya became known for her honesty and her quiet fire. Workers trusted her, and even those who once ignored the lower staff began to take her seriously. Adrian often watched her from across the boardroom table, admiring the way she spoke truth even when it was uncomfortable. One evening, after a long meeting, he found her alone in the office, stacks of reports around her. The city outside glowed in soft amber light. "You should go home," he said. "You have done enough for one day." Maya did not look up. "Change does not happen by itself," she murmured. He smiled. "You sound like me." "No," she said. "I sound like who you pretend to be." That made him laugh quietly. "You still do not trust me, do you?" She finally met his eyes. "Trust is not something you can buy, Adrian." Hearing his name from her lips silenced him. For a moment, neither spoke. The hum of the city filled the space between them. He walked closer, his voice lower now. "Then let me earn it." The sincerity in his tone disarmed her defenses. "You already did," she admitted softly, "when you told the truth." His expression softened, but before he could speak again, her phone buzzed. Her mother calling from the hospital. Maya excused herself, her face lighting up as she heard her mother's voice, strong and happy for the first time in years. Adrian watched quietly, a rare warmth spreading through him. When she hung up, she whispered, "She is getting better." "Good," he said. "Then maybe we both are." They stood there, surrounded by the quiet hum of computers and distant traffic, two people from opposite worlds slowly finding balance in the same silence. For the first time, Maya did not feel small beside him. She felt seen. 3 months later, the foundation had become everything Maya had dreamed it could be. The staff dormitories were renovated, new safety policies were in place, and workers who once avoided speaking now met her eyes with quiet gratitude. The mansion, too, had changed. The cruel whispers were gone, and even the head housekeeper greeted her with respect. Yet, for all the progress around her, Maya could not ignore the quiet pull in her chest every time she saw Adrian. He was still her employer, still the man who had once deceived her, but something had shifted between them. Their conversations were longer now, softer, filled with laughter that came too easily. One Friday evening, as the Foundation's board prepared for a public gala, Adrian called her into his office. "I need you to attend tomorrow," he said, adjusting his cufflinks. "The media will be there, and I want them to see the real face behind our reform. Maya blinked. You mean yours? He smiled faintly. No, Maya. I mean yours. The next evening, the gala sparkled beneath crystal chandeliers. Guests in designer suits filled the hall, glasses clinking, cameras flashing. Maya stood near the back, uncomfortable in the simple navy dress Adrian's assistant had chosen for her. She did not belong in this world of diamonds and polished charm. Then she heard her name. Ladies and gentlemen, Adrian's voice echoed from the stage. Tonight, I want to introduce the person who taught me the meaning of integrity. He paused, eyes searching the crowd until they found hers. Maya Lopez, Director of Employee Welfare at the Vale Foundation. The applause was instant, warm, and overwhelming. Maya felt her cheeks flush as people turned to look at her. She shook her head slightly, but Adrian gestured for her to join him on stage. Reluctantly, she walked up, the sound of her heels loud against the marble floor. When she reached him, he leaned in and whispered, "You deserve this moment." Then aloud, to the audience, he continued, "This woman reminded me that wealth means nothing if you cannot look the people who work for you in the eye. She changed how I lead, how I live, and what I value." The hall fell silent, then erupted in applause again. Maya looked at him, stunned. For a second, she forgot there were hundreds of eyes on them. The lights, the noise, all faded until it felt like there were only two of them in the room. "Thank you," she whispered, unsure if the microphone caught it. "No," Adrian said, smiling. "Thank you." Later that night, after the crowd had dispersed, Maya found herself on the balcony outside the ballroom. The city glowed below, the river glimmering under the moonlight. Adrian joined her, hands in his pockets. "You did well tonight," he said. "You belong in that room." "I am not sure I ever will," she replied softly. "You already do," he said. "You just do not see it yet." She turned to face him, the cool night air brushing her skin. "You said once that truth sets people free. Does that include you?" His eyes met hers, and for the first time, the confident billionaire looked vulnerable. "I hope so," he said. A quiet wind moved between them, carrying the faint scent of roses from the garden below. "Maya," he said after a long silence, "there is something else I have not told you." Her pulse quickened, a mixture of curiosity and fear. "What is it?" Adrian hesitated, his voice barely above a whisper. "Tomorrow, the board will vote on a merger that could undo everything we built. And I think someone inside is trying to make it happen." The warmth of the evening vanished, replaced by the chill of uncertainty. Maya's fingers tightened on the balcony rail. "Then we stop them," she said firmly. Adrian smiled, a spark of admiration in his eyes. "Together?" "Together," she replied. The city lights flickered below them as if echoing their pact, two unlikely allies standing on the edge of something much bigger than either of them could see. The next morning came with heavy clouds pressing over the city skyline. Maya arrived early at the foundation, her heart tight with anticipation. The board meeting that could decide everything was scheduled for noon. Adrian had been in his office since dawn, reviewing documents and phone records. Something about the sudden merger proposal did not add up. When Maya entered, he looked up, his tie loosened, his expression more weary than she had ever seen. "You were right," he said, handing her a file. "The proposal came from within. It is Marcus Lang, our chief financial officer. He has been meeting privately with the investors pushing for the merger." Maya opened the file, scanning the evidence, emails, transaction receipts, and confidential drafts marked with Marcus's initials. Her chest tightened with anger. He wants control of the foundation's assets. If the merger goes through, the welfare programs will be the first thing cut. Adrian nodded grimly. "And he is counting on my silence. He thinks I will protect the company's reputation instead of the people." Maya closed the file, her voice steady. "Then he does not know you like I do." Adrian gave a faint smile, one filled with both pride and worry. "He will not go down easily. Marcus is ruthless." "So are we," she said quietly. At noon, the boardroom filled with suits and murmured conversations. Cameras were set for press statements. Tension hung thick in the air. Maya stood beside Adrian at the long table, her hands clasped behind her back. Marcus entered last, his grin polite and sharp. "Adrian," he said smoothly, "shall we begin?" Adrian gestured for him to sit. "By all means." The meeting started with routine numbers and projections, but everyone knew what was coming. Finally, Marcus stood, projecting his slides on the screen. "This merger guarantees stability," he declared. "It will double our market value and streamline operations. It is the logical move." Adrian's gaze was calm, but Maya could sense the storm beneath. "And what about the Foundation's mission?" Adrian asked. Marcus spread his hands. "Some adjustments will be necessary. Charity begins at home, after all." A few members chuckled nervously. Maya's patience snapped. She stepped forward before Adrian could stop her. "You mean cutting every program that actually helps people?" she said clearly. The room froze. Marcus's smile faltered. "Excuse me." "You heard me," Maya said. "This merger is not about stability. It is about greed. You are using the company's name to cover your own backroom deals." Marcus's face darkened. "And who are you to speak in this meeting?" "The person who found your emails," Adrian said, rising from his seat. Gasps filled the room. He turned toward the screen and clicked a button on the remote. The projector shifted to display copies of the very files Marcus had tried to hide: bank transfers, private messages, signatures. Marcus's composure cracked. "You went through my files?" "No," Adrian said. "I went through my own company's servers. And I found betrayal." The board erupted into murmurs. One member asked, "Is this true?" Marcus stammered. "This is a misunderstanding." "Enough," Adrian said. His voice echoed through the room. "The merger is cancelled. Effective immediately." He turned to Maya. "And Mr. Lang's employment is terminated." Security stepped forward as Marcus tried to protest, but Adrian's next words silenced him. "You forgot one thing, Marcus. I built this company on trust," and she reminded me what that word means. Maya felt the air shift as the boardroom broke into scattered applause. Adrian looked at her, a rare light in his eyes. Later, as the room emptied, he said softly, "You were fearless." She shook her head. "I was terrified, but I could not let him destroy what we worked for." Adrian smiled. "You have a way of making the impossible sound simple." Maya exhaled, relief washing over her. "So what happens now?" "Now," he said, glancing at the city through the glass wall. "We start over, this time without the lies." The storm outside finally broke, rain streaking down the windows, but inside, for the first time, everything felt clear. In the days following the boardroom confrontation, the Foundation became the center of every headline. "Billionaire exposes corruption inside his own company," one article read. Adrian's name trended across every platform, but he ignored the attention. What mattered to him now was restoring what had almost been lost. For Maya, those days blurred together in a rush of meetings, calls, and late nights. The merger crisis had left a mess of contracts and frightened employees to reassure. Yet, for the first time, she felt something steady inside her, a quiet confidence that came not from approval, but from purpose. One evening, as the sky turned the color of burnt orange over the city, Adrian appeared at her office door. He looked exhausted, but his eyes softened when they met hers. "You should go home," he said. "You have not had a real break in weeks." Maya gave a faint smile. "Neither have you." He leaned against the doorframe, his tone teasing but gentle. "Difference is, I own the place." She set down her pen, arching a brow. "And I fix it." That made him laugh, the kind of laugh that started small but lingered in the air. "You really do not fear me anymore, do you?" he asked. Maya's expression softened. "I never feared you, Adrian. I just did not know which version of you was real." He stepped closer, his voice quieter now. "And now?" She hesitated, her heart racing. "Now I think I am starting to find out." The silence that followed was not awkward. It was charged, alive, filled with the weight of everything they had not yet said. Adrian looked at her for a long moment before finally saying, "There is a dinner tomorrow for the Foundation's donors. I want you there beside me, not as staff, but as my partner in what comes next." The word partner hung in the air. Maya swallowed hard. "You mean professionally, right?" He smiled. "For now." The next evening, the event took place at the renovated east wing of the mansion, now transformed into the headquarters of the Foundation. Soft jazz floated through the air, and photographs of the workers and families they had helped lined the walls. Maya walked in, wearing a simple black dress that matched her calm confidence. Adrian greeted her at the entrance, his usual business armor replaced with a warmth that surprised even him. "You look like the reason this place exists," he said quietly. She blushed, shaking her head. "Do not start with your billionaire compliments." "It is the truth," he replied. The night unfolded smoothly until a journalist approached them during dinner. "Mr. Vale, people say your new director is the real power behind the foundation. What do you think of that?" Adrian looked at Maya, then back at the reporter. "They are right," he said simply. "She is the heart of it." The crowd laughed softly, but Maya's eyes widened. After the interview, she pulled him aside to the balcony. "You cannot say things like that," she said. "Why not?" he asked. "Because people will misunderstand." He studied her face in the glow of the city lights. "Let them. I am done hiding the truth." For a heartbeat, she said nothing. The words felt too big, too close. "Adrian," she whispered, "people like me do not end up with people like you." He stepped closer, his voice low but steady. "Maybe people like me have been looking in the wrong places all along." The distance between them shrank until she could feel his breath in the cool night air. For a moment, neither moved. Then she looked away, breaking the spell. "I should go," she said softly. "Maya," he began, but she was already walking back inside. Adrian watched her disappear into the crowd, a quiet ache in his chest. He had built an empire on control, but with her, control was the one thing he could no longer hold. And as the night wore on, he realized the truth she had forced him to face. He was no longer testing her. He was the one being tested now. The following week, Maya avoided the mansion entirely. She threw herself into work, visiting community shelters and overseeing new training programs for the foundation's staff. Each time her phone buzzed with Adrian's name, she silenced it. She told herself she needed distance to think clearly, but the truth was simpler. She was scared of what she felt. The line between gratitude, admiration, and love had blurred until she could no longer tell one from the other. Late Friday night, while finishing reports at her office, the lights flickered as a summer storm gathered outside. The thunder rolled low across the city when a familiar voice broke the quiet. "You work harder than anyone I know," Adrian said from the doorway. She looked up sharply, startled. "You should not be here," she said. "Neither should you," he replied gently. "It is nearly midnight." Maya sighed. "I had things to finish." "You are always finishing something," he said. "But when do you start living for yourself?" She closed the folder on her desk, frustration rising. "Do not do that, Adrian. Do not turn my work into a flaw. It is the only thing that has ever made sense." He stepped inside, raindrops still clinging to his coat. "And I am trying to make sense of something too," he said quietly. "You." The word hung between them, fragile and dangerous. "Stop," she whispered. "Please. You cannot say things like that." "Why not?" he asked. "Because it changes everything." "Maybe it is supposed to." Maya turned away, gripping the edge of the desk. "You are my boss, Adrian. You are a billionaire. I am a girl who used to scrub your floors. You think the world will ever let that be simple?" Adrian moved closer, his voice firm but calm. "I do not care about the world." "Then you are a fool," she said, spinning to face him. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Because I do care. I have spent my whole life fighting to be respected, to be seen as more than someone's charity project. If people find out about this, about us, it destroys everything I have worked for." For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, quietly, he reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, a frame wrapped in soft leather. He placed it on the desk between them and opened it. Inside was her mother's old embroidered handkerchief, carefully pressed and preserved under glass. "Do you remember this?" he asked. Maya stared at it, her breath catching. "You kept it." "It reminded me of who you are," he said. "Of who I want to be. Every time I lost my way, I looked at it and thought of you." Her heart twisted painfully. "You should not have done that," she whispered. "It is not right." "It is the truth," Adrian said. "And I am done hiding the truth." He took a step closer. "Maya, when I met you, I was testing everyone else. I never thought you would be the one testing me." The storm outside cracked open with thunder, filling the silence between them. Maya looked down at the framed cloth, her reflection blurred in the glass. "You cannot fix this with gifts or grand gestures," she said. "I am not trying to," he replied softly. "I am asking for a chance to do this the right way." She lifted her gaze to his, torn between fear and longing. "And what if I say no? Then I will keep working beside you," he said. "But if you say yes, I promise to never make you question your worth again." Her voice trembled. "You already did that, Adrian. You made me see it." He smiled faintly, relief flickering through his eyes. "Then maybe that is enough." The storm began to ease, the rain softening against the glass. Maya exhaled slowly, realizing that this was not a confession born of impulse. It was the culmination of every truth they had both been afraid to speak. And for the first time, she did not look away. The morning after the storm, sunlight spilled through the windows of the foundation, soft and gold, as if the world itself had been washed clean. Maya stood by the glass wall overlooking the river, a mug of coffee warming her hands. The city below moved with its usual rhythm, unaware that her life had shifted quietly overnight. She had not slept, but she was not tired. For the first time in years, she felt still. The framed handkerchief sat on her desk, the same symbol that once belonged to her mother, now shared between two people who had learned that truth was heavier than wealth. A knock sounded at the door. Adrian stepped in, dressed in his usual navy suit, but without the armor of distance he used to wear. "I was not sure you would come in today," he said. Maya smiled faintly. "Someone has to keep the boss in check." He chuckled softly and walked closer, stopping beside her. They watched the water together for a long moment before he spoke again. "I spoke to the board this morning. I told them I am stepping back from day-to-day leadership. The foundation will run under your direction." Maya turned sharply. "What?" "Adrian, you cannot." "I can," he interrupted gently. "And I should. This was never supposed to be about me. It was supposed to be about integrity, about people like you. You built the heart of this place, Maya. Now I am just giving it room to grow." Her throat tightened. "You cannot just disappear." "I am not disappearing," he said. "I am learning to let go." She searched his face, trying to read what lay behind those calm blue eyes. "Where will you go?" "Anywhere I am useful," he said with a half-smile. "Maybe I will help rebuild schools. Maybe just fix a few broken things in peace for once." He hesitated, then added, "Unless you have a better idea." Maya looked down, emotions flooding her. "You changed my life, Adrian." "No," he said softly. "You reminded me what a life should be." Silence lingered again, but this time it was tender. Adrian reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "Before I go," he said quietly, "I need to ask you something." Maya froze as he opened it. Inside was a simple silver ring, engraved on the inside with a single word, truth. "I am not asking for forever," he said. "I am asking for honesty, for a chance to build something real, without titles, without lies." Tears blurred her vision as she whispered, "Why me?" Adrian smiled. "Because when the world looked away, you did not. Because every time I forgot who I was, you reminded me. Because you are the only truth I ever found worth keeping." Maya covered her mouth, overwhelmed. "Adrian, I do not know what to say." "Then do not," he said. "Just tell me if your answer is yes." She looked at the ring again, the sunlight reflecting in its quiet silver gleam. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, the one she thought she had lost forever, saying, "Kindness is strength." Maya nodded slowly, tears falling freely now. "Yes," she whispered. Adrian slipped the ring onto her finger, his hand trembling slightly. "Then that is all I need." The world outside seemed to brighten as if in agreement. Later that afternoon, the Foundation's new initiative launched, a program providing education and health care for the families of their workers. Maya stood on stage, speaking to the crowd, her voice steady and filled with conviction. "This is what change looks like," she said. "Not power, not titles, but compassion that lasts." From the front row, Adrian watched, pride written across his face. When she looked at him, they shared a silent understanding that did not need words. Their story had begun with deception but ended with truth, the kind that could outlast storms. And as the applause rose around them, Maya knew she had finally found what she had been fighting for all along, not just justice, but home.